for taking some time away from your busy schedule to talk, David.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, great. I'm David Gersten. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Bond Consulting Services in Long Beach, California. We are a 100% Microsoft Dynamics practice. For the last 20 years, we've been developing and handling implementations and support around ERP and CRM solutions, strictly in the Microsoft space.
And David and I got to know each other through IAMCP, which is the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners. And so I was the co-founder of the Seattle chapter with Jeff Shuey. And David, what your role initially was?
Initially, I am still actually the West Region Chair for the United States. I'm also sit on the U.S. board as the Secretary, and I'm the past president of the SoCal chapter, which is the largest chapter in the United States.
Excellent. Yes, it still is. Who's the battle against? I mean, who's kind of the number two spot?
Surprisingly, Chicago is actually, New York and Jersey have always been back there, but Chicago is definitely, they've got some great stuff. The new leader there is amazing, and, they're breaking the 50-plus number, and they've got a lot. What they've done is really reached out to the other tech communities really well,
yep.
and have just done an enormous job there.
Well, I know we're going to talk just here briefly about your takeaways from Inspire, but really quick around the IAMCP, as we were just talking about before we hit record, was about IAMCP, which for those that are not familiar with it, it's about partner-to-partner networking. And so I personally have 2 or 3 experiences where specific deals were done from connections made at these monthly chapter meetings. And so it's where, like in the Seattle chapter, you might have 20, 30 people show up, and sometimes there's a speaker, a topic around that. We always benefited from having leadership from Microsoft there, come in and speak to us. Like Kevin Turner was great. Came in and talked to us a couple times. Gabriella Schuster came in a couple times. Actually, Gabriella come in quite a bit since it was local there. But
she's a regular there.
You're right. But what was great about that was that it was an opportunity for everyone to kind of introduce themselves every single month and say, hey, I'm working on this deal. Mm-hmm. My company does, your company does Dynamics, but we need help in the SharePoint space. Another partner said, hey, we do that, and we don't, that might be a good way that we could work together. Those kinds of deals are put together all the time. David, I don't know if you have another pitch for kind of why partners should participate.
Yeah, absolutely. IAMCP, I call it a lunch plan because it's so inexpensive, and you get 12 months, 12 lunches usually for the year to go, but it's beyond that. I probably can attribute 60 to 70% of our business right now from IAMCP.
Wow.
It is incredibly powerful. We were at Bond Consulting Services in 2015. We were the U.S. Partner of the Year and the Worldwide Partner of the Year. We generated over $1 million worth of partnering dollars between different partners, and it's absolutely mind-boggling, the deals that come out of it. For us, we don't sit in a very highly competitive market inside of IMCP. We're similar to the overall Microsoft ecosystem. 10% of the partners are Dynamics partners type of thing. So about 10% of the room is Dynamics versus a generic MSP. But I would say this, if you are a managed services provider of any type, come in with a niche, come in with your specific, what market, segmentation, industry, what technical, if you really know System Center really well, or literally Project Online, because very few people actually say that they know it, come in and be that person. Find your niche, be that person. It doesn't matter if you do other things, but be that person so that when you're in the room, people know you for that. And then it's about the meetings after the meetings, the stuff that happens in between the meetings.
But something that's important, too, is that it's not just about you. Don't be afraid that there might be 2 other vendors that do the same thing there. I mean, again, there are opportunities that come up through.
I subcontract to my competitors.
Right.
I mean, many of my competitors in that room are actually subcontractors, and we've subcontracted for them as well. We've with balance loads and challenges around that, vertical expertise. We specialize at BCS in manufacturing and distribution. Not all Dynamics partners do that, but if they have an opportunity, we might come in as that, manufacturing expert around process manufacturing or something like that, and let them still do the deal, but we come in as that SME for that specific situation. But the ethics are amazing.
Right.
I mean, and I only partner. We have a standard almost. And it's not universal. I don't want to put it out there that I'm not going to partner with you if you're not an IMCP member, but we really look to partner with people that are in that community because it is such a close-knit, high ethical standard community.
Well, that's a great point because I mean that is an indicator. You see someone who's participating in IAMCP, you know that they are looking for opportunities to peer network. Yep. And here's another great example that came out of Inspire, then we'll jump into that is, so actually somebody out of LA was telling me about part of what their company does and their service. And I said, well, I'm familiar with this company out of South Africa that I don't know if they're IAMCP members, but I know them well. And they have a similar offering and they can do it at a much cheaper rate than LA. I said, and I wasn't thinking, hey, they can, take away your business. I was saying, you might be able to augment and scale your business by leveraging them and help each other both ways. So they're talking, so that's another thing that comes out of it is maybe not even the connections you make, but other members. David and I are constantly doing this. I know kind of, what do you call doing the matchmaker between other partners.
Well, it just happened to me last week while I was on vacation after Inspire. Heather Duran from Microsoft, who now is in the inside sales she's now managing the inside sales team. She had a partner from China, ISV. They're in blockchain technology around something, and they are trying to branch out to the United States. And she reached out to me specifically because they're really looking for the Western United States. And she's like, do you know anyone? And I introduced her to Paul Salsky, up in Seattle, who basically from AIM International, I think. And all he does is help ISVs go international across the boards. And are they international ready? And, all this stuff. I made an introduction, and they have a call scheduled tomorrow.
That's awesome.
And I made nothing from it. All I did, I personally gained because I love connecting. If you look at my my LinkedIn name, it says David Gersten, and then has all these other things. One of the things it says is people connector. Because that's I'm kind of like a matchmaker from Fiddler on the Roof, type of thing.
Well, let's jump into Inspire and your takeaways. Yeah. And it's funny. It's like, so I'm you're working in the Office 365 SharePoint world for so long. And of course, I've worked, my career is almost 30 years. I've spent more time out of the Microsoft ecosystem than in the ecosystem. I'm seeing more people that I know from the technology side. So, engineers, developers that are attending Inspire the last couple years, which is a little bit of a shift. I mean, because it's generally the sales and marketing, the business development folks that are attending Inspire. And so I remember talking to somebody Thursday night, and they were saying, yeah, there really weren't any tech announcements, nothing really big this week. I was like, well, yeah, that's not what this event is about. So correct. I said, but there were some massive things that were announced around, some incremental things around Dynamics 365, but the Microsoft 365 was a big thing. The One Commercial Partner announcements was a big thing. There's the Azure Stack. There's there's a bunch of stuff around cloud ISV stuff. There's just a bunch of different things. There's I don't have my notes up here, but there's the new virtual reality. What is it? There's a new partner program for mixed reality technology pieces and things.
Yeah. And the ISV embed program.
Right.
And that's embed, EM, not in bed.
Right.
But you had to listen to that a couple times.
But then there's also there were a lot of small technology things, which I'll come back to at the end, marketing tools and different things that Microsoft is doing, which I'd like to get your takeaways first before I then comment on it. But I think that I think most people missed. They were waiting to hear about them in the huge announcements when really they needed to walk around the floor in the Microsoft booth areas to see the various kiosks to learn about some of these different things. But anyway, so what were your major, like maybe your like top, the three biggest takeaways from this event?
So first of all, I love the name change. Let's address that. It went from this World Partner Conference, WPC. This was my fifth one. I'm a little biased. I'm part of the planning, the Partner Engagement Board. So I spend a lot of time the year before planning and providing input, and there's still a lot of great announcements. And I think the one commercial partner, the OCP, was delivered incredibly well. There was so much fear with the announcement of the layoffs and uncertainty, and some of my dearest friends at Microsoft, I would never put my enemies through what I watched them go through the week before, knowing whether or not they were going to have jobs and what they were going to be doing and stuff, and to come out of it with such a positive partner-led, partner-focused program. I'm so excited. It's no better time to be a Microsoft partner right now than now. Yeah. I've come from working at big companies. I've worked through Xerox. I've worked at ADP. I've worked through Sprint, where account management has always been the way now Microsoft is doing it. So when I was managing accounts on the other side, rather than being the actual partner, I knew the value that my customers received it as. So I am so looking forward to the fact that I have one person, no matter what product I'm selling, no matter where I'm selling it, no matter who I'm selling it to, that person is going to be compensated, and they have a vested interest on it. Now, I understand they're just the quarterback, and there's still the linebackers and all the team players and everyone else to help them, but I don't have to care about that anymore. And I get to go to one person. And whether or not you're managed or you're in the telemanaged program, it's still going to be amazing for any partners out there. So I think that, and the way that was delivered, both by Satya and Judd and just everyone, and Gabriella and stuff. I mean, I talked to Gabriella the night of the concert and thanked her for the positioning, and she heard, she told that story about that meeting she had in Europe where, the partners, and they just were like, why aren't you listening to us anymore? And they listened. Yeah. Now, we'll see how long it works and how it executes. But what do they say? They say, it's not about how well that, it's not necessarily the end result. It's the fact that the ship is moving, and the ship's moving in the right direction. We don't know where it's going to end up at the end of the day, but it could have gone a different direction, and it definitely went a good way. So that the OCP message was brilliant. I think the technology advancements around the Azure stack and the ISV love that they're giving, and vertical, making all the VARs now ISVs. You really have to if you don't play in that space, you're going to have trouble. And that message was clear. The Office, the Microsoft 365 thing, that was a little confusing. I got real excited at first. I'm like, wow, this is a new brand. And ultimately, by the end of the week, realized it's a SKU. It's a SKU inside the Office stack, and which is great. Don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic SKU, and it's going to be very valuable. And it also, for me, what I like is that it really aligns with that business edition, enterprise edition mentality, which as a Dynamics partner has been a huge shift for us since last year with the new branding of Dynamics 365 and financials and finance and operations, business edition, or enterprise edition. And right. I think that alignment is really what's more important than the SKU. Right. But I did I will tell you, I was, about to tweet out some stuff that, oh, look, there's this new brand, it's Microsoft 365, and underneath it, there's Office 365, and there's Dynamics 365. It could have gone that way, and that would have been really exciting. Yeah. Maybe a missed mark. but I still think it's a powerful SKU. We're going to be offering it to our customers. I definitely think a lot of a lot of people need to be aware of that SKU and start leveraging it with their customers.
I think it'll be a lot easier. I think the marketing, that you'll be able to do out of that, and I'll come back to that on the marketing side. So, all right, that's two. What would we say? Their third thing.
So the third one was, very self-centered dynamics.
Right.
I mean, it's there, and it's we're no longer the bastard stepchild of Microsoft. A couple years ago, with the change with Kirill leaving, and Satya made some serious changes inside of the Dynamics organization and bringing one Microsoft and now OCP. Really, it's amazing, and the fact that my partner development executive or PAM, whatever they're called, is from the Dynamics world, but he now gets compensated on Office 365 and Azure and all these other things, as well as the Dynamics world, is very exciting to me. And it basically said, you need to be partnering with or talking about or doing Dynamics 365. Because it's a key commitment. I think it's a huge competitive power play over NetSuite or Salesforce.com or Intact or any of those other all-in-one type of solutions. We finally have something that is backed by Microsoft. And not to say, Dynamics GP is a powerful solution. It's still there. It's not going away. And there's a perfect place for it as well. But I think at the end of the day, Dynamics, to see that visibility on the floor, to hear it mentioned in the keynote multiple times, to see the executives. I was invited to be on a panel, which was very exciting, to talk about Dynamics 365 Business Edition, just to see that there was content, again, inside this event called Inspire for the Dynamics partner was very exciting.
I have a couple clients that just had conversations since we've been back, here a week and a half, that are on the collaboration side of things that said, hey, ISVs, you need to have a story around how it aligns with this. Like, what have you thought about this? Like, well, we were just kind of waiting and seeing if it really kind of was like, catching up, if we did see movement since the rebranding. I'm like, yeah, it's catching up. So it's
here.
Yeah.
We describe it as a wave. We at Bond, we had an opportunity March of 2016 to jump on the early adopter program, the TAP program or whatever you want to call it, for the Dynamics 365 Business Edition Financial Solution, Project Madeira at the time. We went full thread into it. We said, we saw of the early adopter program, half of them were Office 365 partners and half of them were traditional ERP partners. And by now, that original number has dwindled down to almost a third of those partners that actually stayed committed. Mm-hmm. We are so excited that we're on the front part of the wave. We are there. We've got clients implemented. We're implementing clients now. We're in NDA conversations with Microsoft. We're being invited to things that we just never would have been invited to. And I want to tell you that it's 100% related to attending WPC, Inspire, being there, being present, setting those meetings up with Microsoft. Squeaky wheel, what do they say? The squeaky mouse or whatever, squeaky wheel gets the attention. We were loud. We got the attention. We had, I had more meetings with Microsoft this year than we ever have. I think we were in 8 or 10 meetings with Microsoft specifically talking about how are we going to align our business with their product and with their products with our business, and they're partnering their account management style now. With so much up in the air still, juggling balls, and they were still able to have those meetings with us. For us, that was worth going to Inspire alone.
Yep.
Then you mentioned the floor.
All of the kiosks,
the kiosks are amazing. I honestly, I'm going to fill out the survey again. We need a non-session kiosk commons time. We need a half a day of nothing going on, no conflicts, no keynotes, no, general sessions, no any sessions where it's just the commons are open. And whether or not it's Thursday morning.
Yeah, but David, I would argue it's when everybody else is over in those other major sessions, which the videos are going to be available very soon. Right. Where I was over having those quiet conversations in a calmer expo hall.
That's true. That's true. So, we don't want 18,000 people in the commons all at once. I agree, but I think people miss that area. They think it's about the sessions.
Which is a huge mistake. David, I didn't go to a single session.
I went to two. The one I was in the panel for, and the general session for Dynamics, because I was actually invited by the general manager to sit next to them. Right. So, I can't decline that.
Right. So I was in, because look, this was my 8th WPC Inspire event, and I see this. I've said this a number of times. I think it was, as a small business owner, that it was in the Microsoft ecosystem. It was my single best investment for the entire year going to this event. I had kind of sales partner goals for it, and I closed a deal right there. I've got a number of other things that are in the pipeline that I'm sure I'm going to exceed my goal for the event. More than paid for itself in that one deal that was done. But it was, so the vast majority of content is available afterwards. Even if you're in the expo hall, the theaters that are there on the floor, those individual speakers generally make their sessions available, their slides available, or you just go have a conversation with them. But
that was something new this year, which was really great. Was they added the community theaters and the hot topics and all that to the session scheduler.
There's been. That's right. Yeah, to the sessions. That's right.
So it was actually in the session scheduler.
Right.
So you could actually know about them really while you're looking at them, and which means now you have a place to put the content. As the author of that content also.
Well, because because you did the same thing, like not this year, but 3 years prior, I had these mini sessions in these theaters out on the floor. So, I'd love to do that again, David, if you can help throw my name in that. But that was something where I was like, are there no Microsoft people paying attention to the fact that there's like 250 people standing here watching me talk about, personal networking and these, LinkedIn, but prior to the LinkedIn acquisition, for example, talking about this. So between those kinds of sessions and business, I'd say tactical business topics from people who are out doing those things were, heavily visited, attended sessions out in the hall. And then I had that constant flow of people saying, "Hey, how do I get this material? Is there a recording of this?" No, there wasn't.
There's a picture. There's a picture that John Rivers posted recently on social media of someone that took a picture from the balcony down when he was doing the community theater, and he had probably over 200 people there. It was the largest. They believe it could have been the largest attended community theater session this year at Inspire, and got a picture of it, and it was just amazing. I know having that type of visibility is priceless. And whether or not you're the presenter or you're attending it, those are the things that you have to attend.
Right.
And again, because those are the live things that are happening right there. I
liken that content, and you're right, and the ability to have that as part of the official program so that you can then get the follow-up materials from it is it's the same concept of these little kiosks, like going and walking around. It's finding these. It may not be on the main stage, but like I'll bring up the fact that, so 3 things that were not, broadly published out there, but that I went and discovered. So my last team at Microsoft was in advertising operations. So I have an affinity for like what's going on with the Ad Center platform and advertising through Bing. Like I had no idea the market share that Bing now has. Like when I was there, it was what, like this anemic, like 8.9% of advertising, whatever, and it's like 32% now, or 29, 32, somewhere right in there's like a third. It's like, oh my gosh, like this is, post Yahoo, this is a serious chunk of Google's business on the advertising side. And Bing consistently, the conversion rate is higher. The return on investment for advertising through Bing is higher than Google's. Like if you don't have a mixed ad, while there may be more users coming through, the Google platform, if you're not advertising through Bing, then you're losing money.
And no one would have expected that Bing was on the floor at the Commons, and
right.
You can go and get that type of market share information, and you can figure out how to do it. And there's, the resources available to the partner. That alone could pay for your own trip.
Exactly.
If you just went and spent a half hour at the Bing booth, or 15 minutes.
So that's one. The second one was that I was on. I think it was the flip side of where the Bing guys were talking. Was a partner marketing material solution, and maybe you know more about this. But essentially, what it was, if you're a CSP or MSP and you're reselling multiple, you're a VAR that's reselling multiple Microsoft solutions. If I understand it correctly, because it didn't apply to me, and I was thinking, hey, what customers do I have where this would make sense to? Where you go and say, look, we're reselling Office 365 and this solution here. Essentially what happens is through this web interface, it creates the marketing output. So the data sheets and brochures and other marketing material to help your business. So you can co-brand this thing, but have all the content and the imagery around there on the fly, create these unique, individual, personalized marketing materials for your business. Right. And that's a service that's available, through the partner channel. And the third thing that was exciting was, again, targeting CSPs, MSPs that are looking for that differentiator, essentially go and sign up for this bundling program. And it has all of these kind of approved partner ISV solutions that have add their solution. So you can go in there and say, hey, look, I'm reselling, again, I'll say Office 365. You say Dynamics. And I said, I'm interested in partnering with this company, this product. Exclaimer does email signatures, is one of my clients. And they're not in there. I'm like, as an Exclaimer, why are you not part of this list? And so I'm signed them up for this right there. So that other CSPs and MSPs, as they're going through looking for how can I differentiate? Well, I'm interested in reselling these. I want to have these solutions that I can add into that. And then there's a process there for getting information to sign up for that. But it's Microsoft is helping make partner solutions discoverable. So helping the ISVs, helping the resellers, the VARs, to discover these other solutions that are out there. Absolutely. It helps everybody, and then more business is being done through the Microsoft ecosystem. And so that's, again, something that I discovered walking like, what is this? What are you guys doing? And nobody else standing there talking to these people at this kid.
Absolutely. There was another hidden booth, and I forgot this. I'm going to add, this is my fourth thing. This has to be, I'm a huge participant with the Voices for Innovation group, which is, the advocacy and policy group within Microsoft, and they had a booth there.
Yep.
And a lot of people didn't see it. But in that booth, you had an opportunity to talk about Microsoft's positioning around digital privacy and cybercrime and TV white space, which is a huge issue right now. And I was blessed as one of the VFI, Voice for Innovation Task Force members. I actually, on Thursday, I spent my day at the White House.
Right.
I got to go.
Photos. Yeah.
I got to go talk to some members of Trump's administration about what they're doing around bringing privatization, bringing privatized companies into the government sector to help ease the technology challenges that the United States government has today, and how can we ease that process of working with the government, because we are the SMEs, and the U.S. government doesn't have it, and they realize that they need better websites and they need better tools, and how are we going to do that? And there's definitely initiatives in the current administration to do that. got to go talk to senators and House of Representatives and congressmen about TV white space and digital privacy and all of that stuff. And people don't realize how that changes my business. And just to spend 15 minutes at the Voices for Innovation booth, or just go out to their website now and take a look at it, because how you tie that to your business directly, I have this conversation with customers weekly about, if their customers had better access to the internet, then they could do business better. I took a family vacation and we were in Big Sur, just the south part of Big Sur, as far north as you can get because the road caved in. But we were zero cell space, and I'm thinking, if you owned a home up there and you tried to, you ran a T-shirt company, you were a small entrepreneur, and the astronomical costs of your, just to get connected to the internet in that space, because there's not pure broadband. There's 23 million Americans that don't have broadband. And the fact that Brad Smith was on the stage at the keynote even talking about it, right, was just such an impressive thing. So, I want to make sure that was just such a powerful thing, and I recommend all partners to figure out how they can align this knowledge with their business, and because the customers need to know this, and they're coming to us to ask the questions. As if you're a true ambassador or a technology advocate to your customer and not just a vendor, then they're going to come and ask you this information, or you've already been given the right to share that information, right, and just build that credibility that much more, yeah, with your clientele.
Yeah, there's I'd say, just to kind of wrap up, I mean, there's a lot. Yeah. I think that is there's a huge opportunity that comes out of this event. Again, more than any, I mean, I attend most of the Microsoft-centric events that happen around the globe, and there's fewer of them. Thankfully, they're consolidating. It makes it easier.
I think there's Big Four now, I think, right, yeah, they call it.
And so, but with you have like I'm in Ignite at the end of September, and I don't attend Build. I'm not a developer around that, but I'm watching the keynotes and watching that stuff just remotely. But there are so many takeaways from this that you can go and add value add, and which can be a differentiator as well for your business, to be this trusted resource for your customers, for your local community of, hey, look, this is what the new Microsoft messaging is. Understand the One Commercial Partner Program and be able to go in there and talk about that with customers and relate, like do a webinar of how that changed your business and share your experiences. I'd even say pull some other people from your community, potentially even. I have a long history of working with competitors for companies I've worked for, and doing this to share that broader message, I think has done wonders for me personally, my career, but being this neutral, fair-minded this player out there, to go out there though and talk about these broader concepts, to talk about VFI, to talk about IAMCP, it's only going to help set you up and your company up as a trusted partner within the ecosystem, somebody that other peer organizations will come to, as well as customers. It's there's always the selfish benefits to participating in those things, but I see value, I know you do, in being a good partner in the ecosystem. That we've seen that it's driven business, and certainly much more than being closed, than being hyper competitive around those things. So I guess you could say there's a time for those things, but not much time for those things.
Yeah, no, and I think that's I define the conference one thing: it's community. It's and inspire yourself to be part of a community. Share, and IAMCP does connect, learn, and grow. A lot of organizations are now using that kind of that 3-word, but connect with other people, learn, and grow yourself, grow your business, grow your network. You could say that
here is you can see mine 3 words: strategy influence, amplification. So
yeah. I mean, but Connect, Learn, and Grow can apply to Inspire.
Yeah.
It can imply to IMCP, VFI, this conversation itself, those people who listen to this and things like that. So, I'm always available. My best thing, my goal is to make other partners succeed.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about karma, and it'll come back to me.
Yep.
And it'll come back tenfold, 30-fold.
Well, and I know that, and Dave, for those that are watching as we conclude here, David's a great person, easy to find via LinkedIn and a number of other places. But David Gersten with Bond Consulting Services, even if you're not in the western region of the U.S. in SoCal, and I'd say I'm a born and raised NorCal boy, so I'm a I won't hold that against you being a SoCal guy. But feel free to reach out to David, because
Absolutely.
David is happy to connect you with the right people within your region or talk to you about it. So, David, thanks a lot for your time today. And any other ways that people can get in touch with you? What do you want to give? Any info to give out?
My Twitter handle is @dsgersten. That's Gersten. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm open there, and and bondconsultingservices.com is my website, and you can contact me through that as well.
All right.
So, Christian, thank you. It's always a pleasure. I loved our time that we got to spend together at Inspire, and thank you for thinking of me to help you out and help deliver this message to other partners.
No problem. And I will, I'm sure, talk to you soon. And thanks a lot. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Okay.